Good evening.
Hi, friends.
We interrupt tonight's program.
Do you hear them outside?
Do not answer your door.
Hey guys, VAM here. We just wanted to thank you all so much for tuning into the channel tonight. Your support truly means everything to us as we continue building these late-night horror stories together. If you're interested in story inquiries, submissions, or collaborations, feel free to contact us. You can find our contact information in the description below. And before tonight's tape begins, just a quick reminder. All original stories are written and owned by VHS After Midnight. Unauthorized reposts, adaptations, or narrations are strictly prohibited. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. It really helps support the channel. Tonight's story is called Don't Play Side B, written by Dead Air. So turn the lights off and get comfortable and enjoy the tape. October 12th, 2025. The garage sale sat at the edge of a quiet neighborhood outside Nashville beneath a sky the color of dirty dishwater. Ethan Mercer almost didn't stop. He only pulled over because his friend Marcus spotted a cardboard sign zip-tied crookedly to a telephone pole that read, Vinyl/estate sale/cash only. Marcus laughed from the passenger seat. Bro, if I see one more Fleetwood Mac album today, I'm ending it. From the back seat, Tyler groaned. You're the one who agreed to spend Saturday digging through dead people's basements. Ethan smirked while turning into the driveway. Sometimes people don't know what they have. That was Ethan, always searching, not for expensive records, authentic ones. At 28, Ethan had built his entire life around stability. Financial analyst downtown. Excellent credit score, meal prep Sundays, gym 3 times a week, bills paid early. He ironed his work shirts every Sunday night, while basketball highlights played quietly in the background. He kept emergency cash hidden inside a labeled envelope in his kitchen drawer. He alphabetized his spice rack. Claire once joked, "You're like if anxiety became a responsible boyfriend." Ethan laughed at the time, but secretly he liked hearing it, because stability had taken him years. His father drank, his mother disappeared for days at a time when he was a kid. Chaos embarrassed him. And smoking. Ethan hated smoking more than anything. He'd physically move away from people outside restaurants if cigarette smoke drifted toward him. Once, during a work lunch, a co-worker came back from a smoke break smelling like stale nicotine and Ethan muttered, "Jesus Christ." Claire laughed. "You act like cigarettes killed your family." "They smell like regret." That was Ethan Mercer, which is why the first cigarette terrified him. The garage sale itself looked ordinary. Fold-out tables, fishing gear, dusty lamps, old books, and crates. Crates overflowing with vinyl. Ethan knelt beside them immediately while the old man running the sale watched silently from beneath the garage. Thin, grey-skinned, sunken eyes. He never smiled once. Most of the records were common pressings. Nothing special. Then Ethan found the black sleeve. No title, no artist, no barcode. Just a faint silver symbol pressed into the corner like it had been burned into the cardboard. The moment Ethan touched it, the old man stood up. Fast, too fast for someone his age. That one wasn't supposed to be out here. Marcus laughed. What? The evil record? But Ethan barely heard him. He slowly slid the vinyl free. Black on black, and when sunlight hit the grooves, he froze. For a split second, the grooves looked distorted enough to resemble screaming human faces trapped beneath the surface. Then the illusion vanished. The old man stepped closer slowly. "Don't play side B." Marcus grinned immediately. "Oh, nah. Now you have to buy it." The old man didn't laugh. His eyes stayed fixed on Ethan. Something stopped being music. Silence settled over the driveway. Ethan looked down at the vinyl again. How much? $5. Way too cheap. That should have bothered him, but by then, he already wanted it. That night, Claire sat cross-legged on the couch eating takeout, while Ethan cleaned the vinyl beneath warm amber light. Claire smiled. "You look happier holding that thing than when you saw me today. That's different." "Oh, wow." Ethan laughed. "I'm kidding." Claire wrapped her arms around him from behind while he inspected the grooves carefully. "You know," she said softly, "normal people buy cars during quarter-life crises. I'm not in crisis. You alphabetize your spices, Ethan." The apartment felt warm, safe, normal. Later, Ethan would think about that moment constantly, about how peaceful everything still was before the music started. He lowered the needle onto side A. Static crackled softly through the speakers. Then music bloomed into the room. Warm analog guitar, velvet vocals, soulful jazz wrapped in cigarette smoke and midnight exhaustion. Claire slowly lowered her takeout container. "Okay, wait." Ethan sat down carefully. The music sounded impossible. Not polished, alive, like every instrument had been recorded inches away from him. The singer's voice carried exhaustion and menace at the same time, the kind of voice that sounded dangerous even while whispering. Halfway through the first track, Ethan heard it, a scream, faint, buried beneath the music. He sat upright immediately. "Did you hear that?" Claire frowned. "Hear what?" Ethan replayed the section. Nothing. Just music. But something about the song felt wrong now, like another layer existed underneath it. That should have been the end. Instead, Ethan played the record every night for the next week, and every replay revealed something new. Whispers beneath bass lines, arguments buried in static, crying hidden behind saxophone solos. The album became an obsession almost immediately. At first, Claire thought it was harmless. Then, Ethan stopped sleeping. She'd wake up around 3 a.m. and find him sitting beside the spinning turntable wearing headphones in total darkness, motionless, listening. One night she touched his shoulder gently. Ethan nearly screamed. "Jesus Christ, Claire! You scared me." He pulled the headphones off slowly, eyes bloodshot. "You hear different things every time." Claire folded her arms. "You've said that 4 nights in a row." "Because it's true." Then came the cigarette. Claire came home from work and froze immediately. Ethan sat beside the turntable with smoke drifting lazily through the apartment. For a second, she genuinely thought somebody else was there. "You're smoking?" Ethan barely looked up. "It helps me focus." Claire stared at him in disbelief. "You hate cigarettes." Ethan shrugged slowly. "People change." That answer unsettled her more than the smoking itself, because he sounded sincere. Then came the spending. Vintage speakers, studio headphones, rare amplifiers, audio equipment worth thousands, packages piled across the apartment daily. Claire stared at him one night while he unboxed a $4,000 reel-to-reel player. "Ethan." "What?" "You do not need this." "Yes, I do." "For what?" "To hear it correctly." Claire laughed nervously. "You sound insane." Ethan slammed the box cutter onto the counter. "Because you don't hear what I hear." Silence. Claire stepped back slightly, and for the first time in their relationship, she looked afraid of him. Work noticed next. Ethan Mercer had never been late before. Not once. Then suddenly, 3 times in 1 week. Then 5. Then he missed an entire Monday after staying awake nearly 30 hours replaying track 4. His boss pulled him aside Thursday afternoon. "Everything all right with you lately?" Ethan nodded too quickly. "Yeah, just tired." "You've never been late before." I said I'm fine. The irritation in his voice surprised even him. Meanwhile, the apartment kept changing. The smell of smoke soaked into furniture. Heavy curtains blocked daylight. Ashtrays overflowed. Then Claire watched Ethan flirt with another woman for the first time in their entire relationship. It happened at a bar Ethan normally hated, a loud little jazz lounge downtown. The old Ethan would have complained the second they walked inside. Too crowded, too loud. Smelled like stale beer and cigarettes. But this, Ethan smiled at it, like he belonged there. Claire watched in stunned silence while Ethan leaned casually against the bar talking to a brunette in a red dress. Laughing. Smoking. Actually smoking. The cigarette rested between his fingers naturally now, like he'd done it for years. Claire walked over immediately. "What are you doing?" Ethan barely looked at her. "Talking." "You were flirting with her." "So?" Claire blinked. "So?" The woman awkwardly walked away. Ethan lit another cigarette casually. "You're embarrassing me." Claire stared at him in genuine shock, because Ethan Mercer would never say something like that. Ever. But the record was hollowing him out piece by piece, and filling the empty space with Silas Vale. By the second week, Ethan uncovered the musician's identity. Silas Vale. Underground soul jazz legend from the late 70s. Brilliant, violent, paranoid. Murdered during a recording session alongside 6 others inside Hollow Creek Studios in 1978. The final album was supposedly destroyed, but Ethan knew better, because every night, Side B gained more grooves. At first, he thought he imagined it. Then he compared photos. The blank side slowly filled itself in overnight. Real grooves. Physical grooves. Claire stared at the images on Ethan's phone. "That's not possible." "I know." "No, Ethan. I mean literally impossible." She looked toward the turntable. "Throw it away." Ethan laughed softly. Not because it was funny, because the suggestion itself sounded absurd to him now. Throw it away? After everything it was showing him? That night, Ethan stayed awake until nearly 4 in the morning researching Hollow Creek Studios. Most information had vanished, police files sealed, photos missing, witnesses gone. Then Ethan found an old forum thread from 2009. One sentence buried at the bottom caught his attention immediately. He was trying to put himself inside it. Claire walked out from the bedroom exhausted. "You're still awake?" Ethan ignored her completely. "I isolated another layer in track 5. "Ethan." "There's dialogue buried under the saxophone." He boosted the audio through expensive studio headphones. At first, just distorted music. Then suddenly, a man screamed through the speakers. "Turn that shit off!" Claire jumped violently. Another voice answered beneath heavy static. Calm, low, dangerously calm. "You wanted something real." Ethan froze, because he recognized the voice instantly. Silas Vale. Then came crashing sounds, screaming, gunshots, and underneath it all, music still playing. Claire backed away immediately. "Turn it off." Ethan replayed it, again, again, again. Claire finally snapped. "Turn it off." Ethan slammed pause. The apartment fell silent except for cigarette ash burning in the tray beside him. Claire looked close to tears now. "This thing is destroying you. It's evidence. It's a record. It's more than a record." His voice exploded through the apartment. Claire flinched, and for half a second, Ethan didn't recognize his own voice. It sounded deeper, rougher, like somebody else had spoken through him. Claire grabbed her purse quietly. "I'm staying at my sister's tonight." Before leaving, she stopped at the door. "Why does it feel like you care more about that thing than me?" Ethan opened his mouth. Nothing came out, because the horrifying truth was, he didn't know anymore. The door shut softly behind her. For nearly an hour, Ethan sat in the silence she left behind. The apartment felt larger without her, colder. The turntable sat in front of him like an altar. The black record waited beneath the amber lamp. Ethan told himself he wouldn't play it. Not tonight, not after Claire, not after that look on her face. Then the phone buzzed. Marcus. Ethan almost ignored it, but the buzzing kept going. When he answered, Marcus didn't even say hello. Claire called me. Ethan closed his eyes. Of course she did. Bro, what the hell is going on with you? Nothing is going on with me. That's not what she said. Ethan looked toward the record. Claire exaggerates. Marcus was quiet for a second. She said, "You're smoking now." Ethan didn't answer. She said you missed work. She said your apartment smells like a motel ashtray. She said you screamed at her over a record. Ethan's jaw tightened. It's not just a record. Marcus sighed hard. I'm coming over. 20 minutes later, Marcus knocked on the door. Ethan didn't want to open it, but Marcus kept knocking until he did. The second Marcus stepped inside, his face changed. The smell hit him first. Smoke, dust, warm electronics. Something old and rotten underneath it all. He looked around slowly. Damn, man! Ethan shut the door. What? Marcus gestured at the room. This. All of this. Ethan glanced around like he was seeing the apartment through someone else's eyes for the first time. Cables across the floor, empty food containers, ash on the coffee table, receipts for audio equipment stacked beside research notes about Hollow Creek Studios. Marcus walked closer to the turntable. This is the record? Ethan stepped in front of him too quickly. Don't touch it. Marcus froze. Bro, I'm serious. Marcus stared at him. You hear yourself right now? Ethan's face twitched. You don't understand. Then explain it. Ethan swallowed. There are things inside the music. Marcus glanced toward the record. Like what? Voices. Marcus's expression softened, but not in belief, in concern. Ethan! Don't do that. Do what? Talk to me like I'm crazy. Marcus looked around the apartment again. I'm talking to you like my friend is scaring the hell out of me. Ethan's phone started buzzing again. Work. He looked at it, then turned it face down. Marcus noticed. Was that your job? Ethan said nothing. Marcus stepped closer. How many days have you missed? Ethan shrugged. A few. A few. Marcus picked up one of the unopened letters from the coffee table. Final notice. Ethan snatched it from his hand. Don't touch my stuff. Marcus held both hands up. All right, my bad. But his eyes drifted back to the black vinyl. The silver symbol in the corner of the sleeve shimmered faintly under the lamp. Marcus leaned toward it despite himself. What is that symbol? I don't know. Looks burned in. I said don't touch it. But Marcus, trying to prove a point more than anything, reached around Ethan and put 2 fingers on the edge of the sleeve. Just for a second. Barely a touch. The apartment went completely silent. Not quiet. Silent. The refrigerator hum vanished. The city outside disappeared. Even the air seemed to stop moving. Marcus's smile faded. His fingers were still resting on the sleeve. Underneath them, something pulsed once. Soft, wet, like a heartbeat beneath cardboard. Marcus pulled his hand back instantly. What the hell was that? Ethan stared at him. You felt it. Marcus rubbed his fingers together. Felt what? But his voice had changed. He heard something then. Faint. So faint he almost convinced himself it was coming from outside. A saxophone note. Long and low. Somewhere behind the walls. Marcus looked towards the hallway. Is music playing? Ethan didn't answer. Marcus turned back to him. Ethan. The record was still. The turntable wasn't moving. The needle wasn't down. But underneath the silence, something hummed. Marcus stepped back. Nah, I'm not doing this. Ethan reached for the record. Wait. Marcus shook his head. No, listen to me. Claire is gone. Your job is calling you. Your apartment looks like a crime scene, and now I'm hearing stuff just standing here? Whatever this is, throw it away. Ethan looked down at the black sleeve. His voice came out low. I can't. Marcus stared at him with real anger now. Then don't call me when it ruins your life. He walked to the door, then stopped. Softer, he said. You're my brother, man. But this? He looked at the turntable. This ain't music. Then Marcus left. Ethan stood alone again. For the first time, he felt afraid. Not curious, not excited. Afraid. Because Marcus had heard it too. Marcus had touched the sleeve and heard something. That meant Ethan wasn't imagining it. That meant the record was real. And somehow, that made it harder to walk away. His phone buzzed again. His boss. Then Claire. Then Marcus, probably already regretting how he left things. Ethan ignored all of them. The music resumed instantly the moment he lowered the needle. Warm, beautiful, hypnotic. Then for the first time, Silas spoke directly to him. Clear, whispered directly between lyrics. Keep listening, Ethan. And Ethan did. He kept listening long after he lost Claire. Long after he lost his job. Long after the apartment stopped feeling like home. Because somewhere deep beneath the terror, the record made him feel understood. Chosen. Seen. And that was the real horror. Not the voices. Not the impossible grooves forming across side B. The hunger. The unbearable need to hear more. The way Ethan kept choosing the music over every chance he had to walk away. The next morning, Marcus woke up to jazz music playing softly in his apartment. At first, he thought he'd fallen asleep with the television on, but when he opened his eyes, the apartment sat completely dark and silent. No television, no radio, no phone. Still, the music continued. Warm analog guitar drifted faintly through the room beneath low saxophone notes wrapped in static. Marcus sat upright immediately. What the hell? The melody sounded familiar. Track 2. His stomach tightened. He walked through the apartment, checking every outlet and speaker. Nothing was on. The music seemed to move as he moved, first from the kitchen, then behind the bathroom wall, then faintly above him, through the ceiling. When he finally returned to bed, the music stopped instantly, like it knew he was listening. By the third night, things got worse. Marcus started hearing whispers underneath ordinary sounds, air vents, shower water, traffic outside. Once, while sitting at a red light, his car speakers crackled softly even though the stereo was off. Then, a low voice whispered, "Keep listening." Marcus nearly drove onto the sidewalk. Meanwhile, Ethan disappeared completely. 3 missed calls from work became 12, then 23. His boss finally left a voicemail that sounded more annoyed than concerned. "Ethan, if you don't call us back by tomorrow morning, we're considering this job abandonment." Ethan deleted the voicemail halfway through listening to it. The apartment barely resembled his home anymore. Heavy blackout curtains covered every window, ashtrays overflowed, half-eaten takeout containers rotted across counters, and jazz records littered the floor like debris after a storm. The black vinyl sat permanently on the turntable now, like it belonged there, like it had always belonged there. Ethan barely slept, and when he did, he dreamed about Hollow Creek Studios. Not normal dreams, memories. He saw dim recording booths soaked in cigarette smoke, jazz musicians laughing nervously between takes, and Silas Vale standing alone behind studio glass, staring at people like he already knew how they would die. Ethan always woke up sweating, and every morning, side B had more grooves. One night, Ethan photographed the vinyl before bed. Then again, the next morning. The grooves had physically spread inward overnight. Impossible. Real. He stared at the images for nearly an hour before finally whispering, "What are you?" The record answered softly through the speakers. "Play me." Ethan froze. The turntable wasn't spinning. The needle wasn't down. Still, faint jazz crackled softly through the room. Then came knocking at the door. 3 slow knocks. Ethan opened it, expecting Claire. Instead, Marcus stood there looking exhausted. Fresh scratches lined his neck and dark circles swallowed his eyes. The moment Ethan opened the door, Marcus rushed inside and locked every bolt behind him. "You were right." Ethan stared carefully. "What happened?" Marcus paced frantically through the apartment. "I started hearing it." "Hearing what?" "The music." Marcus rubbed his shaking hands together. "At work, in my car, through walls." His breathing quickened. "And last night?" He looked toward the spinning vinyl. "I heard myself screaming." Ethan felt genuine fear for the first time in days because Marcus sounded exactly like he had sounded 2 weeks ago. Confused, terrified, obsessed. The room went still. Then track 2 slowed unnaturally. Silas's voice emerged through the speakers. "You brought him back too." Marcus screamed immediately. "Turn it off." But Ethan couldn't move because beneath the music he heard something else now. A heartbeat, slow, wet, heavy. Thump, thump, thump. Marcus looked towards side B and nearly collapsed. The grooves were moving, actually moving beneath the needle like living muscle. Then the music stopped completely. Only the heartbeat remained. Thump, thump, thump. The apartment lights flickered violently, and from somewhere inside the walls, Silas Vale began humming softly. Marcus backed away in horror. "No," Ethan whispered. "You hear it too." Marcus looked at him like he finally understood the truth. This wasn't addiction anymore. This wasn't obsession. Something was alive inside the record, and now it knew both of them. Marcus grabbed a hammer from the kitchen. "We destroy it now." For the first time in weeks, Ethan hesitated. Real hesitation. Because suddenly this wasn't mystery anymore. Something was happening. Something real. Marcus raised the hammer and the record screamed. Not feedback. Pain. Hundreds of layered voices exploded through the apartment. Men, women, children, screaming beneath roaring static. Then a reflection formed across the spinning black vinyl surface. A face, smiling. Silas Vale. Marcus stumbled backward in horror. "No." Silas slowly turned toward him inside the reflection. "You shouldn't have come back," Marcus snapped. With a scream, he swung the hammer downward. Ethan lunged instinctively. "Wait!" The hammer slammed sideways into the turntable. The player crashed onto the floor. The needle screeched violently across side B, and the apartment lights died instantly. Pitch black. Then came breathing. Deep breathing from every direction. A faint glow emerged from the fallen vinyl as the grooves pulsed beneath the surface like veins under skin. The speakers crackled back to life, replaying Marcus and Ethan's breathing milliseconds after it happened. The record was recording them now. Then a third voice whispered from the darkness. "Don't interrupt the session." Silas Vale stepped slowly from the hallway shadows. Tall, thin, unfinished, like cigarette smoke shaped into a man. Marcus immediately began crying. Silas tilted his head toward Ethan. "You understand it better than the others." Marcus screamed, "Don't talk to him." Silas ignored him. "You wanted the truth." Around them, vinyl records spun slowly across the floor like clocks reversing time. Silas crouched beside the glowing record. The grooves had nearly completed themselves. "You know why side B was blank?" Ethan swallowed hard. Silas smiled faintly. Because every album needs a listener. The grooves spiraled faster. Apartment lights burst overhead one by one. Pop, pop, pop. Darkness swallowed the room. Silas lowered the needle onto side B and the apartment exploded with sound. Not music, voices. Hundreds layered together in agony and ecstasy. Then Ethan heard his own voice among them. Future Ethan, screaming. Marcus heard it too. The center label darkened like wet ink spreading across paper. New handwriting appeared across the vinyl. Track 8, Ethan Mercer. Marcus whispered, "No." Then Ethan understood. Silas never wanted freedom. He wanted replacement. Every listener became another voice trapped beneath the music, forever. Marcus grabbed the hammer again. Silas smiled through Ethan. "Don't ruin the ending," Marcus charged. The apartment screamed around him, literally screamed. Faces pushed outward beneath the walls, trying desperately to escape. Marcus raised the hammer and slammed it into the vinyl. Crack! A sound erupted unlike anything human. The walls howled. Hundreds of voices exploded outward at once while the apartment lights flashed violently white. The record split deeper. Silas screamed through Ethan's body now. No longer calm, no longer charming. Pure rage. "You idiot!" Marcus swung again. Another crack. Suddenly the apartment vanished. For one impossible second, Marcus stood inside Hollow Creek Studios in 1978. Blood sprayed across soundproof walls. Bodies collapsed over instruments. Musicians clawed desperately at locked studio doors. At the center stood Silas Vale beside a microphone, smiling while recording everything. The massacre wasn't an accident. It was the album. Marcus screamed and brought the hammer down one final time. The vinyl shattered completely. Instant silence. Then every trapped voice escaped at once. A hurricane of screaming sound erupted through the apartment while black static exploded upward from the broken record like smoke from a fire. Inside the storm, Marcus saw faces. Hundreds of them, men, women, children, twisting violently through the static as they tore free from the music. Among them was Silas, no longer seductive, no longer calm, only terrified. The voices dragged him backward into the storm while he screamed in panic. "No!" Then everything stopped. The apartment fell silent. Marcus collapsed onto the floor, gasping for air. Smoke drifted through the ruined room. Broken glass covered the carpet. The walls looked melted. The turntable lay shattered beside the vinyl fragments. Then Marcus looked toward Ethan, and his stomach dropped. Ethan stood motionless in the center of the apartment, not blinking. Black static slowly leaked from his nose, then his ears, then his mouth. "Ethan." No response. Marcus staggered toward him carefully. "Bro?" Ethan finally moved, slowly turning toward Marcus. His eyes looked distant, like he was hearing something Marcus couldn't. Then Ethan smiled softly, not happy, listening, like someone hearing beautiful music from very far away. The broken speakers crackled behind them, and faint jazz hummed softly through the apartment again. Marcus's blood ran cold. "No." Ethan's lips trembled slightly. "I can hear everything." The static pouring from his mouth thickened. Not liquid, tape distortion, like damaged film unraveling from inside him. Marcus grabbed him violently. "Ethan!" But Ethan barely reacted. His body flickered strangely beneath the lights like unstable VHS footage. His outline smeared unnaturally for half a second before snapping back into place. Marcus stumbled backward in horror. "Ethan!" Then Ethan looked at him fully for the first time. Marcus saw real fear. Ethan finally understood what was happening to him. His voice cracked weakly. "Don't let me listen." the shattered turntable suddenly spun by itself. Vinyl fragments rotated slowly around Ethan like magnetic pieces pulling themselves together. The jazz grew louder, warmer, beautiful. Marcus rushed toward him again, but Ethan's body distorted violently. Not flesh, analog distortion. His arms stretched unnaturally like warped tape. His face smeared sideways across reality itself. His body glitched in fragmented movements like corrupted film skipping frames. Marcus froze in horror because Ethan wasn't being dragged physically. Reality itself was folding him inward, pulling him toward the spinning vinyl fragments. Ethan screamed, and beneath his scream, Marcus heard hundreds of others screaming with him. Then, Ethan collapsed inward into black static, gone instantly. The apartment fell silent again. Marcus stared at the empty floor, breathing hard. No Ethan, no body, nothing. Only shattered vinyl fragments spinning softly beside the broken turntable. Then even those stopped. Silence. Police arrived 12 minutes later. 3 squad cars, an ambulance, firefighters. The entire apartment complex had called 911 after windows shattered across the 3rd floor and screaming echoed through the building. But nothing inside made sense. Heat damage without fire. Black residue coating the walls. Destroyed electronics. And no Ethan Mercer. Marcus tried explaining at first, but the words sounded insane even to him. By the 3rd interview, he stopped mentioning the record entirely because nobody believed him. Worse, the evidence itself began changing. 3 days later, Marcus searched online for old articles about Hollow Creek Studios. The headline he remembered was gone. Before, it read, "Jazz musician Silas Vale killed in studio massacre." Now it read, "Silas Vale survives tragic Hollow Creek shooting." Marcus stared at the screen in disbelief. No. He opened another article, then another. Every single one had changed. Silas Vale no longer died in 1978. According to every archive online, he survived. Interviews existed now that Marcus had never seen before. New photographs, records of performances through the 1980s. Reality itself had rewritten around the album. Marcus felt sick. Then he searched Ethan Mercer. Nothing. No employee records, no LinkedIn, no apartment lease, no financial analyst profile. Gone. Like Ethan had never existed. Marcus immediately called Claire. The moment she answered, he started rambling. "Claire, listen to me." "Who is this?" Marcus froze. "Marcus." "Sorry," Claire said carefully. "Do I know you?" Marcus's blood ran cold. "Claire, Ethan." Silence. Then softly, "Who's Ethan?" Marcus nearly dropped the phone. No. He hung up immediately, shaking, then desperately opened old photos. Birthdays, road trips, bars downtown. In every image where Ethan used to stand, the space was distorted, blurred like damaged film burned by heat. Marcus sat frozen in silence. Then his laptop speakers crackled. Faint analog static filled the room, and Marcus backed away immediately. Slowly, music bloomed through the speakers. Warm jazz, velvet vocals. And buried beneath the music, Marcus heard Ethan screaming. The screen flickered. A new article appeared automatically. Dated October 13th, 2025. Rare Silas Vale vinyl. Resurfaces online after decades. Beneath the headline sat a photograph of the black vinyl. And faintly, inside the grooves, a face stared outward, distorted beneath the surface. Mouth stretched open in a silent scream. "Ethan Mercer." Then the speakers whispered softly, "Keep listening.